Welcome back, everyone, to episode 26 of the Tricks and Traps Speedrun. So I'm coming into today rated 1568, getting closer to 1600. Maybe I'll break it today. We shall see. Let's hop into the first game. Okay, first opponent playing Benting 03. And d4. I'll play knight f6. Maybe have another Budapest Gambit. Maybe London opening. Ooh, knight c3. So Jobava London may be incoming. Knight f3. Okay, so does this have a name? It could still resemble like Jobava or I guess it's just a Veresov. I'm just gonna play bishop f5 and maybe play a reverse London. Yeah, let's play e6. No crazy gambits here, but there's some nice harmony. Choosing to pin the knight. And there's ideas of knight e4 and c5 and queen a5. How do I want to do this with the bishop tension? If I play knight e4, could lead to trades. Yeah, I'm really looking for the most like tricky and aggressive line. But I feel like knight e4 just leads to simplification. So I'm going to play bishop to g6, keeping the tension. And this is a very common scenario where the bishops just stare at each other. And if white takes, I can take back with h-pawn, and then maybe later make use of the half-open h-file. But white just castles. Okay, let's develop. I don't want to commit to castling because I'm still giving white the option of taking and want the rook on h8. Now, do I want to take on c3? Bishop d6 is the other option. Okay, I'll play bishop d6. A very solid game for both sides so far. Now white has to decide what to do with the other bishops staring at each other. Knight e5 is definitely a playable move here. White takes, which I'm actually happy to see. This gives me a third center pawn. And now knight e5 is off limits. And the plan going forward might be to play knight e4 and f5, and then build up some nice center, maybe some eventual attack on the king side. And I will say one of the drawbacks with white's early knight c3 is very often the knight is restricted from this square, and it blocks the c-pawn as well. So it's not the most harmonious setup for white. Like white would probably prefer the knight on d2, or just having the pawn on c4. We see knight b5. Okay, so white's trying to make use of this knight, attacking my pawn on d6. This doesn't work because knight c7, and this doesn't work because takes and then d6 is still attacked. So queen b6 comes to mind as one option. Yeah, let's go for queen b6. Defending, pressuring the knight, maybe pressuring the queen side as well. And c4 would be interesting. And even though I'd have multiple captures, I think they're just trades. Like I'm not actually winning anything in that line. But a6 is definitely on the horizon if I want to kick the knight back to c3. Actually, a6, knight c3, I take on b2. Does that work? There's knight a4, and my queen is actually trapped. So I don't think I'm actually threatening to win a pawn because of knight a4. Yeah, queen d2. Okay, so my opponent's being slightly tricky. And if I take the bishop, the queen takes back and keeps the knight defended. I'm inclined to play knight e4 here. Attacking the queen. There is this move, queen b4. So maybe I'll play this first. Force knight back, and then this. It feels like cat and mouse. The cat, or whatever you call this, mouse, has been chased away. But now what to do? Knight e4 looks fine. If takes, it's a fork. If bishop takes, the pawn comes to e4 and hits the knight, which does happen. And it is nice getting this pawn to e4. Control space, gives me some initiative. This knight is going to be forced to an awkward square. Either e1, g5, or h4 are white's main options. Knight g5 would attack e4. Then I can defend either knight f6 or d5. And again, queen takes b2, knight a4. Oh, but then there's queen b5, potentially, because there's no more bishop controlling b5. But actually, if queen takes b2, rook fb1 traps my queen. So this pawn is still poisonous. We see knight g5. Yeah, I think d5 makes the most sense. Although, I mean, the benefit of d5 over knight f6 is if I play knight f6, there's f3, and then white's threatening to get rid of the pawn. I'd probably have to take. If d5 f3, I could play h6 and kick the knight. So I'm creating this very solid pawn chain. The bishop isn't so happy with all these pawns on light squares. I would much rather have a dark square bishop in this position, but it is what it is. And now, yeah, the queen's attacked. I could play queen c6, queen d8, queen c7. Queen d8 attacks this knight. Yeah, let's do this. It does seem passive, but the queen wants to probably switch to the king side. And if knight h3, I can continue harassing the knight. Okay, looks like white just blunders a knight. Yeah, maybe queen d8 was disguised as a pure defensive move, but it was aggressive. Now I just have to be careful. Rook's attacked. The best move here might be to Bong Cloud, king e7, to connect the rooks. Castling loses a knight. Rook d8 loses a pawn. But king e7, knight c5. I guess then rook hd8. Oh, but then take. Yeah, I still have to be careful. White is treating this like a gambit. Actually considering sacking both rooks, but wait a minute. Bishop f5, take, king e7, take, bishop h3. No, it doesn't work because there's g3. Yeah, I think I'll just play rook d8, ensuring I can castle next, giving the a-pawn, but then it's going to be a party on the king side with this and this, or this and this. How to do this? Maybe bishop f5 first, but then queen d6. Maybe I should castle first. Yeah, king safety first. Connecting the rooks. And then I'll decide, like, if I want to get the bishop in, if I want a pawn storm. f5, f4 looks attractive. White wants to make a new queen, but that takes time. Oh, there's also bishop h5. Yeah, let's start with this. Because this threatens bishop f3. It also prevents the f-pawn from moving, because then I just take f3 supported by the bishop. So white could maybe try this to get the queen back to g3. But then there's some funny lines. I'm calculating queen d6, knight b6, which maybe I can show after the game. This is also interesting. White is setting up queen f1. So I'm going to start with rook a8. A skewer of the queen and knight. And now bishop f3. And there's no queen f1. And g3 is the only attempt. But now I think my queen can slide in. Queen g4. Oh no, my knight. It's probably not force mate. White could still go for queen b5, queen f1. But then if queen b5, I can take on a4. And if the queen takes, then it's force mate. Yeah, this is a very common attacking pattern where white has severely weakened the light squares. White would love to bring the light squared bishop back to life and just plop it on f1. But it's not bug house or crazy house. And the king cannot run. King f1, there's still queen h3. So my opponent's taking time, looking for any possible defensive resource. And that's a fine approach. Sometimes if you think you're completely losing, you do want to try and exhaust all your possibilities, really check, but yeah, opponent just resigns. So that was actually a pretty quick game. 22 moves. Chess.com is telling me I have 2 brilliant moves. Let's check it out.
Well done pouncing on that free piece. You
So,
ignored your opponent's threat and found a powerful response. This wins a knight.
Yeah, this is brilliant because it leaves my knight hanging. Of course, threatening mate. And then, oh, queen g4.
Ignoring the threat on your knight, a difficult move to see. This move wins a knight.
Yeah, again, the knight can't really be taken. If we analyze queen f1, I would take, and leaving both pieces hanging, but yeah, queen h3 is still on the horizon. So nice game overall. Yeah, slightly slow start to the game, like very solid opening. But sometimes this is what you have to do against players who play solidly. You just develop, follow opening principles, make sure you have some harmony, and then build up the position over time. And yeah, eventually I got exactly what I wanted. Some space advantage, some initiative, and my opponent just gave me a free piece. White probably should have played knight h3, but then I was still going to have some fun. Bishop f5. So that brings me to 1577. Let's keep it going. Next opponent playing power chord. Play e5. We have an Italian. I'll play the 2 knights defense. d3. I was hoping for knight g5. There's some fun lines against knight g5. But here we're just going into somewhat of a mainline Italian. So I might have to wait a little bit to be tricky and trappy. But I'm starting with a6, which gives the bishop a retreating square on a7. So white is not trapping the bishop, but is gaining space. This is a very trendy approach for, especially at the GM level. A lot of GMs like to grab the queenside space, and white is creating the battery. I could castle here. I think I want to be flexible. I'm going to start with queen e7. And then if knight g5, then I'll castle. White castles. Now I have a choice. Like castling would be the normal approach. Bishop g4 is kind of tempting. I guess with bishop g4, there's knight d2. I really want to attack on the king side. Another thing to ask is, am I scared of bishop to g5? I don't think I am. But I'm going to start with bishop g4. I think this is the most active move. And if white plays knight d2, then it blocks a bishop. And then there's a little bit of disharmony. I should also note here, I'm not too scared of b5. That would allow knight a5. And then I can snag the bishop and have a nice position. So we see knight d2. I kind of want to play h6. Again, not really showing my cards. Like if I commit to castling, then it's harder to effectively pawn storm. And the idea is actually to just leave my king in the center and go for g5. I mean, white is maybe preparing pawn b5, so I have to be a little bit careful. Pawn b5, I think is okay. Let's start with g5. I was kind of hoping white would play h3, because then I would retreat the bishop and there'd be a very powerful pawn break. But we see b5, so I'll take. And I think the bishop is very likely to come back to d7. And if a6, I can probably just take it. There are potential traps, like if the a file opens, there might be the eventual tactic of bishop takes f2 and winning material. Okay, white plays c4. So reinforcing the bishop, but kind of weakening the square. Maybe allowing for this idea. Actually, what I can do is play g4 first, kick the knight, and knight d4 should be coming soon. Yeah, this actually looks really nice. Like, white was playing a very fine game, I think, up until this move. And even though this looks like it has some benefit, it is probably going to be something that white regrets. So now knight d4, still interesting. Knight d4 take, and whatever I take back with, there's queen takes b7. But I think it's worth sacrificing the pawn. I'm just not sure if I want to take with knight or queen. Probably queen. I really wish I had a duck to play knight e2 and duck h1, smothered duckmate. But it's not duck chess. So I have to defend the rook. Either should castle or play king e7 here. I think king e7 is actually preferred. The king is safe in the center. Center is decently closed. The rook might want to do things on the g or h file. There's also the idea of rook hb8, which pretty much traps a queen. Yeah, I'm threatening rook b8, queen a6, bishop c5, winning the queen. And still keeping in mind my attacking resources. There could still be some cool mating patterns with the knight coming in, the bishop being a sniper from a7, maybe the other knight coming in. I'm not sure what to expect from white. Okay, white tries to play a safe move, but I think was not paying attention to the other side of the board. Because now, yeah, oh no, white's queen. Again, queen a6, bishop c5, and the queen has no escape. So I probably should have just retreated the queen to put up more resistance. A6. That's clever. Because if I take, move the rook, I lose the bishop. Very fancy. I don't have to take the queen right away, though. I could just move my bishop first. I do admire the resourcefulness from my opponent. But now I am ready to take the queen and then collect the pawn. It would be funny to take the queen, take the rook, allow white to make another queen, and then somehow trap the second queen. But I don't think that's feasible. And I'm pretty sure the most white is getting for the queen is a rook, which should definitely not be enough for white to fight back. Opponent's taking a long time here. I'm really not sure what I would do as white. Bishop b2. It might as well develop. So let's take the queen. Expecting the recapture. And life is very good here. Take with the bishop. This does allow white to defend the pawn, but only temporarily. c6 or c5 is likely coming next. I like c6. No need to trap in my own bishop. Okay, f4. Do I en passant? Some people might be under the impression that en passant is forced, but it's not actually forced here. I think it's actually better to leave the pawn on g4, just restricting the knights from coming back into the game. I'll take on b7. Okay, so some trades. Kind of dreaming of some funny mate of knight h5, and then sacking, and then queen h5 checkmate. But white's ready to take the bishop. Okay, let's play queen b2. Trading down. I'm going to take the d4 knight. This d2 knight has very few squares. If rook d1, I'll play queen c2. If knight b1, I would play queen e2. So opponent resigns. Another nice game. This game had a similar feel to the previous game, where I had to be a bit patient in the opening. Nothing so crazy. Just getting a nice setup, nice piece harmony, and then pretty quickly it got bad for white. Really, I think this is a turning point. Like white should probably do something else. I'm not sure what. Usually the plan is rook e1, knight f1, but g4 was coming pretty quickly. Engine likes white after a6. If I take, white actually has some pressure here. Oh, interesting. Yeah, maybe I could have been in some trouble after a6. Engine actually says I should castle here. Allow a6. Oh, and then rook fb8. Allow this, and there's a pin. Interesting. Okay, maybe not the most accurate middle gameplay, but we'll see. Yeah, the engine is not so fond of this move. Still playable for white. Knight h4 was apparently better. But yeah, king h1 was a big blunder, allowing the queen trap. Okay, that brings me to 1585. Let's keep it going. Next opponent, playing SK only. Play pawn e4. G5. So I think this is a Borg defense, which is basically reverse Grab. Against a Grab, I like to move the king's pawn and then bring the knight to harass the bishop that is likely to come here. Black goes for this. I think this has another name, like the G-sling or something. Something about being mad. Let's just control the center. Waiting for this move. Maybe we'll see this. Okay, I'll develop. Interesting. I think I'll just keep developing. I don't want to take too much time. I want to play in a similar style to the previous games of just getting good harmony with my pieces and then setting up tricks later on. Now I'm wondering, like knight g3, h5, and the knight gets a little bit harassed. It's not the worst thing ever. I do want to develop the bishop. I'll probably look to castle queenside at some point. Queen d2. There is a4 to clamp down. Okay, I'm going to be flexible. Let's start with bishop d3. Developing, but also maybe setting up this. So after takes, there's no queen trade. Okay, black is discouraging pawn e5. Considering f4. f4 take. Yeah, let's do it. It allows en passant, but then the queen can come in, f-file opens. And usually the trade of pawns early on favors a side who's more developed. Because once the position opens up, there should be more tactics, in this case for white. Now I can't legally castle with the bishop controlling d1. The h3 is probably coming soon. I could legally castle kingside, but don't really want to with a half-open g-file for black. Yeah, h3 looks nice. Bishop e6, there's a fork. Bishop h5 feels close to having tactics. Take. Yeah, there's some forcing moves to consider. I'm not seeing anything that wins. I'm really trying to decide, is it worth taking the bishop? Black is ready to play this and be somewhat solid. So I think it is. Now g4. And gain space. The knight has two options. And I'm going to start with rook f1. Making my intentions pretty clear. I want to pressure the f-file. I'm threatening g5. And I think g5... Is it clean? g5, knight h5, take. There's actually some calculation. g5, knight h5, take. Looks really good hitting the rook and knight. But then queen takes h3 counterattacks the bishop. What's the best way to do this? g5, knight h5. Oh, maybe bishop e2 almost works. Okay, I'm going to start with g5. So I'll definitely have options here, like knight h5, I could take, I could defend the h-pawn. Queen f3 looks very reasonable. Yeah, bishop e2 hits a knight, but then queen takes defends a knight. And what if I just take, and then king d2? I'm still threatening the rook. I'm threatening rook h1. There's some bishop g7. I might be overthinking this. Queen f3, knight g7. Okay, let's play queen f3. I like this move. Hitting the knight. The only way I see for black to save the knight is knight g7, which is incredibly awkward, blocking the bishop and the rook. And then once I take, I'll be hitting the rook, winning a pawn in the process. And if queen takes h3, there's options. Like still king d2, or moving the bishop, or even taking the rook. Okay, knight b4, so allowing this. And now I'm threatening to take on f8. And the bishop is completely stuck. But still have to be careful. So king d2. Yeah, this is another bomb cloud. Just ensuring that the bishop's defended. Any check on the second rank is met with rook f2. Now winning the bishop. And this will probably lead into a mating attack if my opponent doesn't resign. Takes, king d7. Actually, I'll just win the knight. So that worked out nicely. I'm up a rook and 2 minor pieces. Super safe king. And black is still trying to attack. Let's take the pawn. Takes, I'll be hitting the knight and e7. Okay, no need to take the knight. Go for the kill. Okay, GG. Yeah, another game. I was just patient in the opening. My deepest apologies to those who want more crazy opening play from me, but yeah, the tactics came a bit later, and black found themselves a bit stuck, especially with all the material falling. So, this puts me at 1593. I think I'll do one more. We'll see if I can break 1600. Okay. Playing Kikate. We have a Sicilian. What do I want to play? Let's play knight f3. Let's play a delayed wing gambit. Pawn b4. And actually, forget the theory. Is it? I think it's d4 first, and then eventually a3. Now there is some counter trap that if I play this, then queen f6 causes white some issue. So I think here I should play a3. Also, chess.com is saying that if I win this game, I'll gain 7 points. So that would put me exactly at 1600. But of course, I should focus on just trying to play good moves rather than the rating. And I am down a pawn here. But this knight has potential to come in very quickly. Maybe I'll start with e5. How do I want to do this? E5 or bishop d3? I think bishop d3 first, but then there's knight b4. Okay, I'm going to start with bishop d3. There's some potential if black is careless and castles, and maybe I have a Greek gift. Queen a5. I'm so tempted to play king e2 here, or king f1. Just not castling. And king f1 I think actually makes a lot of sense. Because it's more awkward to try and block the check. I definitely don't want to trade queens. Knight d2 feels passive, also loses a pawn. And now... yeah, now I have e5 or knight c4. Let's start with e5. Attacking the knight, unleashing the bishop. Can I go for the Greek gift? I think it actually makes sense to play this first. Just centralize the knight. Attack the queen. Oh, but now there's no Greek gift. But that's okay, because there's still attacking ideas. I have knight d6, h4 if I want to be super aggressive. There's actually a line where I sack two pieces. h4, f6, sack, take, sack again, take, take, king g8, queen h5. That's so tempting. Let's do it. Black could play f5, which might slow down my attack, because then I can't sack. And if I en passant, then the knight takes and defends. If f5, I'll go for more kind of long-term compensation. We see knight e7, so now... yeah, now I think it's a pretty classic Greek gift. Although... it's not super clear. Like, takes, takes, knight g5. If king g8, I'm very happy. It's more a question after takes, takes, knight g5, king h6. So I don't have a dark squared bishop. Maybe there I play knight d6, threatening a fork. Yeah, I'm still going to go for it. I think that if this were a classical game, I'd maybe take several minutes to play such a move. Try and calculate very concretely and a bit deeper. But here I'm just kind of going based on intuition. Like, there's going to be a lot of resources. Also, this rook could swing over very quickly. Now black is deciding, do they want to take the bishop? Do they want to decline the sacrifice? If king h8, I still get a pretty monster attack. We do see king h8, so... yeah, knight g5 still looks good. Preparing queen h5. Black could try g6. And then it still takes some work. After g6, I'll have a choice. I'm going to say either h5 or bring the queen or knight in. Here... okay, so here I think it's important to play the right move, because maybe a lot of players would just instantly play this, but then black has knight h6. So this is definitely more accurate. Removing the main defender and threatening mate in 2. Yeah, no mercy. Okay, nice quick game. 17 moves. One brilliant move. Let's take a look. Probably bishop takes h7. Game review is stuck. It's stuck at 1%. I think this game broke chess.com. Let's try and refresh. Sometimes this happens. Oh, it's not talking to me. It used to talk to me.
What a bold sacrifice.
There we go.
Bishop. A brilliant tactical idea.
Okay.
This is the way to win a pawn.
That makes me feel better. Yeah, I'm not sure how much analysis is required. Can take a look at some of these moments though. Yeah, taking right away felt wrong because of the king moving up. And then what we got in the game was quite nice. Just to show here. Engine says white's completely winning. I think I was going to play knight d6. It was also good. One last thing to analyze. I'm just curious, after f6, does this still work? It still works. The double piece sacrifice. And if takes, I can take with discover check. If king here, then there's some funny line, knight d6 most accurate, g3 checkmate. If king moves back, then queen h5. And yeah, black is not surviving. So fun game. That brings me to 1600 on the dot. Hope you guys enjoyed the games today. As always, if you like the content, do subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.